All right, time for that tropical update. Let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture here. You can see what's been cooking in time. Of course, we're watching a couple of tropical systems. We've got Chantal, and we get this next tropical wave coming in toward the Windward Islands over the next couple of days. And we've been watching this wave work its way on off toward the west. But of course, if Chantal develops and this thing keeps racing toward the east, we probably won't have to worry about it because of the outflow from Chantal. That's if it develops. We still got a lot of ifs here. Here's the 11 a.m., 23 north, 67.9 west, 340 miles to the north-northwest of San Juan. Winds are 50 miles an hour, and it's moving west-northwest at 9. Now, haven't seen any pressure drop, and the recon's out there investigating it, so they really haven't seen much change in through here. And kind of makes you wonder what's happening. The shear seems to have moved out of the way. Look at this here. We'll go from yesterday morning shot right here, where there was nothing on the southwestern side. Now you're starting to get a more symmetrical system where you're getting a lot of the dynamics, low level and upper level, coming to play and coming together in through here. So that's kind of interesting. As we kind of close in here for you, you can see where the center of circulation was. And of course, you get the jog and the satellite, so that's going to basically make what I have to say irrelevant. I was going to say, look at how it almost looks like it's moved westerly a little bit more. Yeah, right, that's why it's jumping north, right, Jim? Anyway, that's the satellite. It's not my fault. You can see here from the visible, we've definitely got a circular center here, and for the first time on the recon, the last detailed vortex message that they sent out, they actually had a closed eye, or a closed center, not an eye, obviously, because it's not a hurricane, but a closed center of about 8 nautical miles. So that's pretty good. That, you know, it was 22 yesterday, and it was open in the southwest. So now perhaps more of the convection is wrapping toward the center. We're getting better outflow. It's looking more symmetric. It probably will deepen as we go through the next 24 hours. That's the certainty, or more certainty part of this. Now, what's uncertain is where it's going to go after that. We have a front which will drop across the eastern United States, and by Tuesday afternoon be lying from New England down through the Carolinas. Now, of course, associated with that cold front at the surface, there will be a trough aloft, which would tend to steer this thing on northerly. And there's also a little bit of an upper air low developing right here. So that's kind of interesting. Now, if that happens and these features come true, we'll probably see our system turn on off toward the north. But if this is weak and Chantal really develops, it'll probably plow right through this thing and continue to move westerly. There's 2 different computer models that say 2 different things. Actually, there's about 6 that say 2 different scenarios. So we're going to watch this thing head off toward the west, or it's going to turn toward the north. Just too early to tell right now, so that's all speculation. We're going to have to wait and see. We head off toward the Windward Islands here on eastward. You can see this tropical wave, and the one we've been watching over the past couple of days, really becoming a lot more disorganized than it was. It actually looked better when it was in colder water than it does now that it's in warmer water, strangely enough. Gulf of Mexico's been quiet. We have a easterly wave in through here. We get a cold pool sitting up into the states. This doesn't have anything to do with the tropics, but it's kind of interesting to see these storms fire. And we actually have a new weather watch I'm going to show you with some of those storms, too, so stay tuned. 15.8 north, 135.2 west. This is Barbara as it gradually weakens and continues to move on off toward the west. And we'll have to keep an eye on Barbara, because I've seen these things weaken and then strengthen again as they continue to move on off to the west. And as you look at the water vapor this morning, I wonder if I put that in. I think I took it out. No, I did leave it in there. The water vapor, it's got its own anticyclone right here. So this whole thing is just going to continue to move on off toward the west. And so that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as we work our way on in time. Right now, absolutely no threat at all to the Hawaiian Islands. Into Saturday evening, right here through the heart of the Ohio Valley, up through what am I thinking here? Miami Valley on northward toward Toledo, we have showers and thunderstorms developing. And these are very, very slow movers. Slow movers toward the north and east. So there's going to be some locally heavy rain around Louisville, Lexington, and perhaps up into the Miami Valley. And as we go into the forecast series now, you can still see a high-pressure ridge dominating, but it's starting to break down. When you start to get cold pools in the center of the high, that's a good indication that your ridge is breaking down. But what we're worried about in the short term are not only the thunderstorms today along and ahead of the cold front, but the potential for another strong thunderstorm cluster to develop tonight and affect the northeast. This time, with the front moving through New England, it'll be further south. So you folks from Pennsylvania to the Jersey Shore will want to keep an eye on things for tonight. We could have yet another thunderstorm complex. And not only do you have to worry about that this evening, but how about just getting through the day? Look at the heat index at Philly, 98 over 83. And now we're approaching a new ob and a new hour. So it's even going to feel hotter than that in Philly. And Rich is going to tell you how hot when he comes up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned for Michelin next.
Summer makes you want to eat outside, doesn't it? But with Long John Silver's new Big Fish Feast, it's no picnic.
It's a party! Legendary batter dipped fish, fries, coleslaw, hush puppies, plus golden corn for $4, all for less than $3 a meal. Now at Long John Silver's.
Go fish with Long John Silver's, where America goes for fish.
Find out the conditions before you get on the road. Watch the Michelin Drivers Report, following your local forecast, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Pasta announces the end of Tuesday as we know it. Monday starts the week. Friday's party time. Tuesday's not even a midpoint. It's dull. Save Tuesday with the Rosetto Pasta Rescue. RPR for short. Once your family tastes Rosetto ravioli with its ricotta, pecorino, and Parmesan cheeses spiced to perfection, they might actually like Tuesday because they'll get an authentic pasta dinner with the ease of boiling water. So mark your calendar. Rosetto every Tuesday. Comes around every week or so. Purchase required. Look in your freezer case.
There's a momentum in the wind that stirs a grumbling in the heavens, and then a flash and a drop of rain. A thunderstorm is on its way. A summer afternoon can turn into a savage afternoon when the warmth of the land clashes with a chill in the sky conveying danger. Where will you and your family be? By watching the Weather Channel, you can plan your day around the elements for you and the ones who are close. Watch the Weather Channel, weather you can always turn to.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Thanks for joining us. This is the area we're watching closely for strong and severe storms. They're popping now in Kentucky. Let's move in for a closer look in Metcalfe County. A close-up radar picture will show you that a warning is in effect, and it doesn't look very impressive on the radar picture, but again, Metcalfe County, we are scrolling the information for you on your screen. You're under a warning. Southwest of Lexington, also some strong storms, and we'll have to keep an eye on that one in Cumberland County. It's popping up rather quickly, and you might have some severe weather out of that one. Back to our map, and again, rainy travel possible in a lot of places today with those hit-and-miss storms popping. The big concern is that some of these cells will turn severe. You have already had an incredible outbreak of severe weather in New England. All kinds of reports of damage from about 6 o'clock this morning till about 10. And severe storms, more severe storms are possible. We'll watch that closely. Northern New England, also a chance for windy weather. Not a huge concern. And the Pacific Northwest, a little breezy as well. Up next, Rich Johnson will check in on the apparent temperature in Philly. Right now it's at 122. More next.
It's a breakthrough that brings us to a new level of performance. In the rain, in the snow. It even saves gas. And now through July 31st, the tire engineered to take the world's finest luxury performance touring sedans through just about any weather helps you predict it. With this Oregon scientific weather forecasting station, free when you buy a set of 4 MXV4 tires, Michelin's new energy tires with radial XSE technology. It's science that goes beyond magic.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
It's a scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else. Watch the next Weather Scope at the top and bottom of the hour, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Storm Chantal is spinning in the Atlantic and slowly moving northwest. Where is it headed? Stay with us. We'll have all the details right here on the Weather Channel.
Well, we surely will be looking at the latest on Chantal, our tropical storm. Also, another major story that we're following is the heat wave. It has been residing in the plains and Great Lakes the past couple of days. Much of the heat now shifting to the east. We'll show you exactly how hot it is in a second. Let's start off with Chantal, though. And as we look at the latest information, as of 11 a.m. Atlantic Standard or 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight, we see that Chantal is centered 340 miles north-northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Top sustained winds are at 50 miles per hour, and Chantal is moving off the west-northwest at 9. So Chantal has picked up just a little bit of speed, and the pressure has dropped at least since yesterday, and that is really the key indicator that we look at is pressure, because as pressure drops, that tells us that there is some strengthening. Also, the latest from the reconnaissance aircraft, we find that this circulation center that we've been watching is that it's a little bit more closed off now, so to speak, that the thunderstorms and the showers are tending to wrap themselves around that center of circulation. As you can see, the satellite photograph here jumps up at the last second. Somewhat annoying, but no, let's go past that. What we will watch is for the direction of motion. We are going to continue watching it make its way off to the west-northwest. We will have to wait and see if it stays more on that course or some of the other forecasts call for more of a northerly turn. So that's something we'll watch over especially the next day. Certainly plenty of time to watch Chantal. Of course, here the eastern Bahamas, Chantal still a ways away from the eastern Bahamas. We are watching the center of circulation right in this vicinity here, and we do see that these storms are now starting to wrap around the center, which may allow for additional strengthening today. Yesterday's high, 100 degrees. Chicago and Detroit, Green Bay, you were up to 102. Very hot around Burlington yesterday, 100. Boston, you hit 100 degrees, I believe for the first time since 1977. Right now, though, it is 99 degrees at New York City. Actually, I saw a sneak peek of the latest information. It's coming in right now. It's just coming in so that we don't have the latest updated information. But as of like 2-3 minutes ago, the sneak peek temperature out of New York City as of this hour, it's up to 100 degrees now. So Lakehurst up to New York City. Those are the hottest readings I could find so far in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Some regional views. Chicago, only 94 degrees. Not bad today. Around the Twin Cities, beautiful, 79 degrees. Heat index, though, still a little bit of stifling out there. Grand Rapids, Chicago, right on down to St. Louis. Still quite warm. Cleveland, you're up at 110 for a heat index this hour. Into the Northeast, again, these temperatures are starting to rise. Over to Philadelphia, of course, you have set a record. It's now up to 99 degrees this past hour, so your record is continues to be broken. Over to Williamsport, PA, you're also looking at 99. Last hour, I believe you tied the record. That record is now over with. 122 degrees, that's how hot it feels at Philadelphia. Again, I was looking through some of the latest information, and out of Philadelphia, well, the heat index only 119 this hour. And over to Baltimore, the heat index is around 117 degrees, so an incredibly hot day stretching from New York City down to D.C. The reason for the hot weather, we have a huge dome of high pressure, and with high pressure, the air sinks. As it sinks, it compresses, and it heats up. So that's why we're seeing the hot weather across portions of the east. Actually, the center of the high pressure, high in the atmosphere, is farther to the north. Our surface high pressures across portions of the south, where it's also going to be fairly warm today. Latest radar showing some showers and storms. Some of those are building to severe limits through Kentucky. So we may find some severe storms in Kentucky and maybe some more storms building today from Indiana into Pennsylvania. Right now, the National Severe Storms Forecast Center has issued one severe thunderstorm watch. Indianapolis, you're right there, right on the edge of that watch, and all the way up to Columbus and Cleveland, right on down to Lexington. You all have a chance of seeing some heavy storms today. Let's take a look at just a couple radars, then we will look at our forecast. Latest radar out of the Northeast showing showers and storms now making their way off the coast of Maine. Earlier today in central New York State, in the Adirondacks, we're talking about this morning, there were some winds gusting to approximately 90 miles per hour. In some cases, that's what the radar estimated, although at the Albany airport, winds were estimated to be at around 79 miles per hour. So some very widespread gusty winds, and there was actually some reports of damage. In fact, quite a few trees were downed. Into Kentucky, we see showers and thunderstorms building up west of Lexington over to around Metcalfe County. Some of these may have some hail. Additional storms now west of Columbus. Your forecast, this is the way it looks for your Saturday. Showers and storms over portions of the east. We think a similar forecast for your Sunday, too. Isolated storms much of the east and even over to the west where the monsoon has started in Arizona and New Mexico. Temperatures next few days going to be quite hot in the south, and the heat for the Northeast, we think a little bit of a break, especially for you around Boston and New York City, as cold front knocks some of this heat a little bit farther to the south. Will be hot in the Northwest, where we expect a little bit of a heat wave from Boise to around Spokane. Your forecast, showers and storms traveling across the east, maybe from Pittsburgh to Boston on Monday, right on into Tuesday. Coming up shortly, some updated radars.
I love Hank. I hate the smell. But why use a flowery cover-up? That's no way to freshen the air. That's like sweeping dirt under a rug, and I'd never do that. The Glade Neutralizer with natural plant and herb extracts doesn't just cover up, it neutralizes for a natural freshness that's like opening a window. Much better. No offense, Hank.
Don't just cover up, neutralize with Glade Neutralizer.
Fresh from Glade, S.C. Johnson Wax.
An egg, a little Bisquick, some milk. On a Sunday morning, it adds up to a lot more than pancakes.
For West Coast info to keep you in the know, watch the Pacific Update, only on the Weather Channel. weather you can always turn to. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
If you have trouble sleeping, take a Unisom. It helped last time, didn't it? Didn't you feel better after a good night's sleep? It's okay. The doctor said it's not habit forming. That's right. Unisom. Mom, there's nothing wrong with helping yourself get a good night's sleep. All right? I love you too.
Remember Miss McGillicuddy, your 6th grade teacher? She was the greatest science teacher in the whole world. And it wasn't just because you had a crush on her. It was because she taught you the whys and wherefores of weather. Well, you're older now, and even though your crush on Miss McGillicuddy has faded, your need for weather information hasn't. That's why you watch the Weather Classroom Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's not Miss McGillicuddy, but it's the next best thing. The Weather Classroom, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. It happens every day, hundreds of times, and you don't even know it. Earthquakes, right under your feet. It's a natural hazard that threatens millions of people. And every day, the Weather Channel brings you the Earthquake Activity Report. We'll advise of earthquake activity near the West Coast during the past 24 hours. Maps showing centers of activity are color-coded to official measurements. Watch the Earthquake Activity Report, only on the Weather Channel.
Well, here's our latest Florida forecast, and as we first of all look at a radar, we do see some showers and thunderstorms that are building up across portions north and west of Florida. We think those will stay away from the state for a little while. Our satellite photograph showing that we do have mostly sunny skies. Some of the showers that I was just mentioning are now over around Mobile Bay and into southern Mississippi. Those will probably stay away, but we will see additional storms form across the Everglades again today and likewise up through the peninsula. Latest radar showing a few of those storms in Dade, Broward up to West Palm counties and not West Palm Beach County, those heading off to the west over to the Everglades, generally south of Lake Okeechobee. Additional storms up to the Cedar Key vicinity. Water temperatures looking quite mild, 84 degrees. That's a popular number down to Miami and Naples. 86 degrees water temperature in the Keys. As we look at temperatures right now, really not so hot, up to mostly in the 90s. Jacksonville, they're looking a little warm at 96. Coming up next, we have a look at the weather for Alaska and Hawaii.
Would you go fishing with a lawnmower? Then why trim your lawn with fishing line? Forget it! Here comes the Weed Terminator. 3 awesome cutting blades that swing out and are held in position by centrifugal force. Weeds are defenseless against them, and trimming has never been easier. The entire unit installs quickly and easily to whiz through even the thickest grass and weeds. Turn your gas-powered trimmer into a powerful Weed Terminator. Broken trimmer line? Terminated. Wasted time? Terminated. Expensive replacement spools? Terminated. The Weed Terminator fits all these popular gas trimmers, and it's yours now for only $19.95 with an extra set of blades free. Don't miss this opportunity. Call now.
Call toll-free 1-800-767-7600 or send $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Weed Terminator, 2 Morgan Avenue, Norwalk, Connecticut, 06851. For fastest delivery, call 1-800-767-7600.
Well, as we look over toward Alaska and Hawaii, what do we find going on out there today? We do have some rain showers in the central portion of the state over to around Fairbanks and McGrath. We see some of the light rain. Similar to yesterday, low pressure center south of the state kicking up some of the clouds and the moisture, and you can see that low swirling actually down toward the south coast into the Aleutians. Central portion of the state, just a few clouds today. Occasional showers, though, too. Yesterday's high at Fairbanks, quite mild, 84 degrees, but of course, usually around Fairbanks, one of the warmer locations in the state during the summertime. Juneau, 59 yesterday. Right now, you are at 52 degrees. Sun is just coming up in the Hawaiian Islands. We will generally see a nice day today, mostly sunny skies, maybe a couple of mountain showers, passing showers. That's about it. Hot one yesterday at Honolulu, 92 degrees. It is currently 78. Coming up next, we'll have a look at some heavy storms on radar from Kentucky.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER and connect.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home.
Please call. We'll send you a picture and story of a child you can save.
The Weather Channel. Accurate and dependable forecasts you can always turn to. And when you're away from your television, the Weather Channel forecast is also available from the following.
Well, as we look at radar, it's another busy summer day here at the Weather Channel. First, our national perspective showing storms building up. We may find another complex of thunderstorms developing today, just like last night. Into central New York, a rather rough morning. Reports of numerous trees down, power lines down, a huge complex of storms from New York State into western Massachusetts. In fact, I'll show you a little bit more about that as we look at our 5-day report. As we look into Kentucky, we do have some heavy showers and storms. Some of these are approaching severe limits. In fact, down toward Metcalfe County, you're under a severe warning. Other heavy storms up along the Ohio River between Louisville right on down to around Owensboro. and additional storms now forming in west central Ohio. These may tend to drift a little bit off to the east, but with their slow motion, we certainly could find some flash flooding with easily an inch or two of rain. Certainly that would cool you off, though, from the heat. Coming up next, our 5-day report.
Saturday morning. You can spend them catching up on your sleep or catching up with your kids over a plate of Bisquick pancakes.
We love to travel, and we travel from city to city. My husband drives a little Dodge Coach, and I drive a Suburban with the RV behind it. And wherever we go, we find a Walmart. It's where I always save money. That's the reason we bought our sunshades here.
The Max Reflector Sunshade is double thick and double-sided.
I have them in the car, and I have them in the RV, and it keeps it cool.
This is the Magic Shade Sunshade. You pop them in your windshield when you park.
And it works well to keep the heat out. I'm glad I came to Walmart today.
Don't let the weather jeopardize your plans for success. Tune in to the 5-Day Business Planner following your local forecast, right here on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in to the Weather Channel. Of course, our 5-day business planner, or this time of year vacation planner, really. Probably our most popular feature. To start off, we will look at some heat, but let's look at some of those storms last night that we saw in New York State. Some tremendous storms made their way through Hamilton County and Fulton County. We're talking areas of east central New York and right on past Albany. At the airport, officially, winds gusted to 79 miles per hour. This was a tremendous thunderstorm complex that raced off to the southeast. By the time it blew through Boston, though, of course, there's some thunder showers around, but the storms were rapidly dying. Also, some heavy weather well off to the west of Boston, out toward the Berkshires. Numerous reports of damage, actually plenty of trees down. In one county, I believe it was Hamilton County, up across the Adirondacks, we were looking at a 20-mile wide swath of lots of trees down. That is something else. Just a huge complex of storms. Conditions are possible that maybe another one of these storm complexes will form tonight. Exactly where? Maybe a little bit farther to the west this time. That's something we'll watch this evening. High temperatures today, already some records. New York City at the Park, 99 degrees, although over toward LaGuardia, I believe it's already up to 100 degrees. Philly up to 98. Actually, I think we can cross that out. I think you're already up to 99 at Philadelphia. also at Williamsport. So the records are being smashed hour after hour. Looking at the latest temperatures, we do have about 93 degrees around D.C. At the bottom of the hour, we'll have these updated to give you the very latest information. Atlanta, you are now up to 95 degrees. You may make it up to 100 degrees, especially down at the airport there, where it always seems to be a little bit warmer than anywhere else in town. Heat index, how hot it actually feels outside with the humidity. Hey, it's cooled down some, 112 around New York City, or 112 over at LaGuardia. It's actually about the same. I was thinking cooling down. I was thinking about Philadelphia. 2 hours ago, it felt like 122. This hour, 119, so not so bad. 108 around D.C. at the airport. So we are looking at some hot weather stretching from Boston all the way down to Richmond and Raleigh to Atlanta. Your forecast, this is the way it's panning out. We do see the possibility of another thunderstorm complex. Usually these tend to get started late in the afternoon into the evening hours, and then they develop during the nighttime. So you may want to tune in before hitting the sack tonight, and we'll be able to see if that thunderstorm complex indeed will develop again. By tomorrow morning, maybe a shower storm from Philadelphia to Detroit, maybe to around Chicago. That surely would be nice to see a little bit of rain to cool things down a bit. Your highs today, not so bad. 70s across northern Great Lakes. Still pretty hot in the south, and we do have the 100s for the mid-Atlantic. Your forecast into early next week, something of a mini heat wave in the west. Certainly up near 100 in the California Big Valley. That's typical for this time of year. Additional heat from Spokane right on down to Boise. Forecast into midweek. Certainly the cooling trend continues. Boston to Pittsburgh, right on down to North Georgia. Here's your forecast the way we see it. Around our big high, we'll see this flow from the deep south up into the northeast. Maybe some storms continuing for the mid-Atlantic and New England Tuesday. Then into Wednesday, certainly drier from Philly to New York, but maybe southward to Tampa and Miami, some tropical moisture that we may have to deal with. Coming up shortly, a look at your hometown radars.
Have you ever felt like men and women are from two different planets? Then get ready to order this video.
If a woman's in a bad mood, the secret to helping her get in a good mood is getting her to talk. If you can get her to talk, the more she talks about what she's feeling, the more her feelings will change.
John Gray is the author of the bestseller Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's been published in 19 different languages and sold over 1 million copies. If you want to understand the differences between men and women, order Dr. John Gray's entertaining seminar. Available now for the first time on video. A $34.95 value. It's yours for only $19.95.
When men talk, it's basically one reason: to convey information to create a result.
Dr. Gray's tools, exercises are just immediately useful.
When women need emotional support, they give us signals. They're very clear to other women, but we men misinterpret them.
Our communication is just so much better.
It's the answer that I was looking for.
Order right now.
Do you have anything good in here? How about Kix? Those are the ones with the little candies, right? Are they any good? Try some.
Kids like Kix even if it isn't sweet like candy. And moms like Kix because it's low in sugar.
These are really good. Yeah, but they're easier to eat at home.
Kix, kid tested, mother approved.
Well, here's your travel conditions for your Saturday. First of all, as we look around the nation, we do see some patchy fog, coastal areas of California northward. Really, the main story has been our heat wave over the past few days. Some of the hottest weather ever recorded in the Great Lakes the past couple of days around Chicago, all the way up to Green Bay and over to La Crosse and Madison. Some very hot days recently, although notice where the cold front, stationary front, is now certainly a lot farther to the south. Even a better chance of some thunderstorms the next couple of days. It's going to be hot today from New York down to Baltimore. Not going to be, actually already is. Pretty hot out there. All the way down to Atlanta, pretty hot today. Thunderstorms, some of those may be rather heavy. Right now we do have a severe watch for portions of Indiana, Ohio into Kentucky. Coming up in just about another 3 minutes, I'll have a look at the latest on Tropical Storm Chantal, all the latest numbers of our heat wave, and also your weekend forecast.
Hi, I'm Julie. Julie, can I ask you something?
can ask them anything.
Where'd you get that cheese popcorn? Thanks.
Introducing Red & Butter's Cheddar. Delicious butterfly kernels covered in white and golden cheddar cheese flavors. New Red & Butter's Cheddar. So good, it's irresistible.
Minor arthritis pain isn't going to hold me back, so I use Ultra Strength Bengay. It has 3 pain relievers. They only have 1. It's the strongest Bengay ever for deep, penetrating warmth to help the pain go away. Because to me, retirement has nothing to do with doing nothing. Ultra Strength Bengay, nothing stronger. And it's never been easier to use, because now Bengay comes in an easy open flip-top tube, commended by the Arthritis Foundation.
Watch International Weather, now 42 minutes after every hour, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Storm Chantal is spinning in the Atlantic and slowly moving northwest. Where is it headed? Stay with us. We'll have all the details right here on the Weather Channel.
Well, we certainly will be looking at where Chantal is headed and how strong we think Chantal is going to get. Also, our another top story today is the heat wave stretching from the Great Lakes and now has made inroads to the northeast. We'll show you how long the heat is going to last and look at some of the latest numbers. Let's start with Chantal, and here's the latest that we have as of 11 a.m. Atlantic Standard. 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight, same thing. Chantal is centered 340 miles north-northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Top sustained winds are 50. Chantal is moving a little bit more quickly than yesterday, now at 9. And the pressure has dropped some, and that's something that we always watch very carefully, because as the pressure drops, it tells us that the tropical system is strengthening. We do see Chantal making its way off to the west-northwest, and we are watching the cluster of showers and storms which continue to wrap themselves around the center of circulation. As that happens, we're looking for further strengthening because the wind shear has let up some. By wind shear, the past few days we've seen some high-level winds essentially keep the thunderstorms from the center of circulation, and as long as that happens, we won't see further development. But what we are seeing is that the winds are becoming a little bit weaker, and I believe you can see for yourself just about where the center of this thing is. It's right in through here. The thunderstorms are getting heavier, and the Air Force reconnaissance aircraft has noted a closed circulation, just meaning that as the plane is flying through the Hurricane Hunter, looking around, noticing that all the way around, that circulation, that there are now showers and thunder showers that have built up. Looking at high temperatures yesterday around Chicago, you made it up to 100 degrees. Wow, a hot one yesterday at Green Bay, 102. 100 at Boston, I believe the first time since 1977. Meanwhile, across much of the Northwest, rather pleasant. Temperatures right now, 97 at Pittsburgh. It is 100 at New York City. We're talking about LaGuardia. I believe the park is still 98 degrees. Teterboro 100, Lakehurst 100 degrees. Over to Boston 96, but with the heat index, not so bad. The heat index is a little bit cooler. I'll show you that in a second. Looking into the Great Lakes, nice day around Twin Cities, 79 degrees, not bad at all compared with the temperatures of the past few. 84 is the heat index, but still pretty hot around Indianapolis and over to Cleveland. Actually, the heat index around Cleveland has gone down this past hour. It was up around 111, 112 degrees already. 96, there's that temperature in Boston. Look what we have as for a heat index, only 99. The humidity, that's a key, a little bit lower, close to the water, but over to Hartford, that heat index up in the mid-100s like it is around New York City, down to Philadelphia, 119, and also over to D.C. and Baltimore. The heat index is running between 110 and 115 degrees. We have all of this heat due to a rather large high-pressure center in the east. As air sinks in the high-pressure center, it heats up. That's what has been happening. Although the center of this high-pressure center, high in the atmosphere, has shifted from Kansas City farther to the east, and it actually has started to sink a little bit to the south. So today's going to be a hot one around New York and Philly, but there is relief in sight in the way of cooling showers and storms. In fact, last night there was a huge thunderstorm complex that made its way through central New York State. There was winds gusting to 79 miles per hour reported at Albany at the airport, but up toward Hamilton County, we're talking about the southern Adirondacks area, a 20-mile wide path of trees torn apart due to some rather strong winds. We're not talking about a 20-mile tornado. These straight-line winds sweep right through out of the thunderstorms, very gusty winds, damage from central New York all the way into portions of Massachusetts. Right now, we do have one severe weather watch, including portions of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, from Lexington, Cincinnati, all the way over to around Columbus and over to around Indianapolis. Latest radar showing on some of the thunderstorms that are building up. Some of the heaviest of the weather is in the Ohio Valley. Earlier today, the storms were ranging from around Owensboro up to around Louisville, although the heaviest storms recently down to south central Kentucky around Metcalfe County. These storms continue to make their way and build today all the way generally to the west of Lexington, although now some popped off to your east. It's looking rather dark in Dark County. In Dark County, you're under a severe weather warning in western Ohio. This storm here may have some torrential rain, also some heavy storms just to the east of Indianapolis. Additional heavy storms now beginning to build in east central Wisconsin. These storms likely to make their way across the lake. We'll just have to watch, and there may be a weather watch issued for portions of Michigan. Storms are acting up again today. Your forecast, how does it look out there? Well, we'll start with late this afternoon. Maybe another thunderstorm complex tonight. It would be a great idea before you hit the sack tonight. Check in with the Weather Channel. We'll have the latest forecast to see if one of those big thunderstorm complexes develop again. Tomorrow, if you're lucky, maybe a shower storm cooling you off across the southeast from Atlanta to Birmingham. Heaviest rain, though, will be up near the front through the southern Great Lakes over to around central PA. Highs the next few days, hot today certainly in the northeast. We will see a big change coming up as the center of that high pressure shifts to the south, so the heat will shift to the south. Little mini heat wave, though, taking place in the northwest from Boise to Spokane. Your highs will be up into midweek, into the 90s, and a slow cool down surely coming up. Your forecast looking somewhat wet in the east Monday and Tuesday. Then many of us will see a drying trend all the way up into Thursday. Coming up next, your European forecast.
There's a place where UV rays beat down so mercilessly they're nearly twice as intense as the sun's. No, it's not some blazing spot in the equator. It's the Dutch Boy Paint Testing Facility, where we test our exterior house paints to make sure they resist fading, blistering, and peeling. It's one of over 75 tests we do to make sure that when you buy Dutch Boy, you're not just getting a paint that looks beautiful, you're getting a paint that lasts. We guarantee it. Give your home the lasting look of Dutch Boy.
For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next. only on the Weather Channel. For the conditions and temperatures across Europe, watch international weather coming up right after your local forecast, only on the Weather Channel.
Insects. Bites? Now Cordate rolls on the relief with new Fast Stick. Only Cordate has it to stop the itch and help heal the bite fast. Mosquitoes? Strike? Just roll on the relief with new Cordate Fast Stick.
Identify yourself. Do you grab the bull by the horns, spit in the face of danger, throw caution to the wind, or are you a cornflake eater? No way. You plow into the flavor-flexing, up-and-atom taste of Wheaties, made with wall-to-wall, indoor-outdoor, toasty, tasty, 100% whole wheat. A whole mouthful of flavor. It's the whole enchilada. So for taste that tears it up, let's loose. Where's the pants? Try the over-the-top taste of whole wheat Wheaties.
Know what conditions to expect when you reach your destination. Watch the Business Travel Forecast, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to.
Now you can get Target Tornado, the Weather Channel's special tornado video for only $19.95. You'll see lots of terrifying tornadoes with rare close-up footage of these unbelievably destructive twisters. You'll also learn about the history of nature's biggest killer tornadoes. You'll see shocking scenes of devastation and hear touching personal stories from survivors of the worst tornado outbreak in history. Plus, you'll see behind the scenes how scientists study these storms and experience the thrill of the chase as Target Tornado rides along in cars with actual storm chasers searching for monster storms. The Target Tornado video features the most violent storms on Earth, the most destructive, and the most terrifying. This exclusive tornado video can be yours for only $19.95. Call 1-800-829-1717. This is a special limited-time offer. Order now, and you'll also receive a free keyring thermometer. So call 1-800-829-1717 now with your credit card ready.
And time once again for the look ahead, which is sponsored by Rent-A-Wreck, the smart alternative. Well, the heat goes on in the southeast anyway, although a front to the north will cool you off in Boston and New York City and Philadelphia on Monday, so it's going to feel a whole lot better. And ditto that for Detroit and Chicago and Minneapolis, barely getting to 80. The heat will shift back to the west into Phoenix, where it's always hot this time of year. Even along the west coast, the marine layer will be shallow and temperatures will be a little warmer than they have been. Still heat in the southeast on Tuesday, Atlanta back to Dallas, but a refreshing change for Boston and New York, hanging around 80 degrees, and the trend goes for Wednesday. Most of the heat in the southwest central and the southeast. Then the heat comes back a little bit on Thursday. Big thunderstorms right around a stationary front, perhaps into New York City, then Boston on Tuesday, affecting more the southeast on Wednesday and Midwest on Thursday. Stay tuned for the tropics.
How do they do it? Rent-A-Wreck delivers real value. They rent quality new and used cars, trucks, and vans, vehicles of many makes and models with proven reliability. They give you a ride with pride, all for an amazing price. Each Rent-A-Wreck is owned and operated by someone that lives in your town, so you're treated like a neighbor, not a number. How does Rent-A-Wreck do it? It must be magic.
For real value in renting a car, truck, or van, call the Rent-A-Wreck location nearest you. Mention the Rent-A-Wreck family to receive your special bonus.
Times on
understands that the simple act of petting a dog can make people healthier and happier. It's even been suggested that people who own dogs lead longer, fuller lives. Now, knowing what dogs do for you, wouldn't it be nice to do the same for them? You can, by feeding your dog Iams every day. It's more nutritious because its quality ingredients are more digestible. Iams dog food, good for life, from the Iams Company.
And international weather is sponsored by the Travel Channel. Let's go to the satellite view and see what's going on cloud-wise. And you can see a low right here up around Edinburgh in Scotland. Some rain up there, and then a trailing front or extending front into the Scandinavian countries. Thunderstorms in Poland, much of Eastern Europe, and hot and dry back through Spain and Portugal. There's the low as it moves on eastward through the North Sea and eventually into the Baltic by later on tomorrow, with rain into Belarus and the Ukraine, and then kind of extending back into Stockholm and perhaps Oslo. There's our low north side of the British Isles, and it's troughed down into the British Isles, bringing some rain into Birmingham, perhaps into London as well, and a little bit cooler than it has been with the hot temperatures south out of Spain, especially down near the Rock of Gibraltar. Partly cloudy, a little on the warm side for you in Athens, and we said a shower could occur in London, so bring an umbrella. Not bad in Rome, and as we look at Vienna, low 70s. Tropical storm Chantal may be strengthening. We'll have the details coming up next.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER and connect.
You better.
You asked for more, and now it's here. Radical and Quality bring you North America's #1 dance music collection. Dance Mix USA Volume 2, The Beat Continues. More of what you're looking for. Over 70 minutes of non-stop body-shaking music. Call now through this special TV offer. Get Dance Mix USA Volume 2 on cassette, $14.99, CD, $19.99. This is one awesome dance music collection. Use your credit card and call right now, and we'll send you a bonus cassette with more bass-kicking beats. If you like to dance, you'll love this collection.
Call 1-800-334-4700. Use your credit card right now and we'll send you a bonus cassette. Call now, 1-800-334-4700.
Watching the Weather Channel for accurate forecasts at your convenience. Weather you can always turn to.
If your car isn't performing like it used to, put back the power with Slick 50 Fuel System Formula. 10 times more powerful than the leading fuel treatment, Slick 50 cleans the entire fuel system. You'll feel the difference guaranteed. Ask for Slick 50 Fuel System Formula. More power to you.
Slick 50 Fuel System Formula can be found at the following fine retailers.
This isn't the work of a budding kindergarten artist or a mischievous preschooler. It's the Dutch Boy Paint Testing Facility, where we test Dutch Boy kids' room paint. It's specially formulated to be so tough that when your little creative genius adds finishing touches like these, they'll wash off easily. It's one of over 70 tests we do to make sure that when you buy Dutch Boy, you're not just getting a paint that looks beautiful. You're getting a paint that lasts. We guarantee it. Give your home the lasting look of Dutch Boy.
Insects, Bites? Now Cordate rolls on the relief with new Fast Stick. Only Cordate has it to stop the itch and help heal the bite fast. Mosquitoes? Strike? Just roll on the relief with new Cordate Fast Stick.
Well, Tropical Storm Chantal continues to strengthen slowly. We have the 11 o'clock issuance by the National Hurricane Center. Here are the statistics. The next advisory will come out at 5 o'clock, but at 11 a.m., Chantal was centered at 23 north, 67.9 west, and that centers at about 340 miles north-northwest of San Juan. The winds are now up to 50 miles per hour, and Chantal has gained a little forward speed now, moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour, and the pressure has come down just a little, so it is strengthening just a little bit and moving a little bit faster. What we look for is the wrapping of the thunderstorms around the center of the storm. Now, that hasn't quite happened yet. I guess the best way to put it is this tropical storm is undergoing a very gradual strengthening. It's not meteoric, but it certainly is, and it's one of those agonizing processes. Yesterday, we had a little bit of shear in the upper atmosphere, which was hindering the development. Today, the shear has lessened a little bit, so we expect Chantal to continue this slow strengthening as it moves to the west-northwest. Just to give you, well, first of all, we'll show you the satellite picture, and you can see now the thunderstorms beginning to bubble up around the center of the system, and that's one more indication that this system is beginning to strengthen. Then I'll show you the perspective of Chantal as it is north of Puerto Rico, and here it is with respect to the U.S. mainland, continuing to move to the west-northwest. Now, it looks like Chantal will continue to strengthen and may actually become a hurricane, but we're looking at a couple of scenarios as far as where Chantal is going to go. It could continue its path toward the U.S., or it could curve to the north. We're watching this ridge of high pressure in the upper atmosphere begin to break down a little bit, and the computer models are saying that that ridge will be replaced by a trough over the next couple of days in the northeast. Now, Chantal continues its slow movement. That's better for its development, but if it hangs around long enough, it could be influenced by other forces, and of course, if that ridge breaks down, it could turn Chantal. So right now, the solution of where it's going to go is up in the air. The computer models are diverging radically on where it's going to go, so we're going to have to watch this. If you live in the southeastern United States, keep track of the Weather Channel, and we'll watch this system, as one thing for sure, it's continuing to develop. Now, as we look off the coast of Africa, we had a very impressive tropical wave. However, winds in the upper atmosphere were a little strong, and its whole system is just getting sheared. It is a pretty high latitude as well. We're not really worried about that. Another wave has come off the African coast, maybe a little bit less in the way of power compared to its predecessors, but we always watch these as they come off the coast, and of course we always have plenty of time to watch them. As we look around Central America and the Caribbean, not a whole lot going on. A little flare up there southwest of the Mexican coast in the intertropical convergence zone, which we'll look at. Barbara, I think, is peaked, and it's dissipating rapidly. It may be coming into some cooler water, but certainly this system is disintegrating. Wind still 90 miles per hour, continues to move to the west, but if you watch Barbara and its progression, certainly it doesn't look anywhere near the kind of hurricane that it was a day ago. In case you're plotting Barbara, there are the coordinates centered 15.8 north, 135.2 west. And you can see basically as it weakens, becomes less and less of a threat to any of the Pacific areas, including the Hawaiian Islands. Let's go to your forecast and see what's going to happen back home. And the front, well, it's going to cool you off in Boston, which is good news. But before that, we could have even more powerful thunderstorms coming out of Ohio and Indiana across New York and Pennsylvania. And in a situation where the air masses change so radically here, we could have some very powerful storms this afternoon. You'll feel the cool down in New York by Sunday. That's certainly good news. Boston even more so as the dew points drop. Rain for Detroit and Chicago as the front flirts with your area, and maybe some rain into St. Louis as well as that front drops to the south. Philly, you'll stay hot for a while. Baltimore, Washington, on down toward Atlanta, still oppressively hot and humid. And the only relief you'll receive in the southeast are those scattered afternoon thunderstorms, which, as the ridge breaks down a little bit, could be a little more numerous come tomorrow. Hot in the southwest, less of a marine layer, so it'll be warmer than it has been in San Francisco actually all the way down to Los Angeles. Seattle and Portland, warm and sunny. Pretty good weather for you all. Heaviest rain will come out of those storms in the Midwest. They could affect Chicago and Detroit and eventually on toward Philly and New York once again. Oppressive heat. Be careful out there. Some of those heat indices are above 120 from New York down to Philly. So a very, very hot day ahead of the front and a steamy night. Air conditioners galore in the southeast. Stay tuned. Thunderstorms are causing travel problems. We'll show you where next.
Discover the first in a unique class of pain reliever, Zostrix. Even though prescriptions have never been required, doctors prescribe the Zostrix brand more than all other topical arthritis pain relievers combined. Zostrix, physician strength relief, is in your hands.
An egg, a little Bisquick, some milk. On a Sunday morning, it adds up to a lot more than pancakes.
Find out the conditions before you get on the road. Watch the Michelin Drivers Report, following your local forecast, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast, coming up next, only on the Weather Channel. Available at leading drug discount and department stores everywhere. When you watch the Weather Channel at 20 minutes after the hour, you get an extended outlook with the 5-day business planner. At 42 minutes after the hour, get the temperatures and conditions across Europe with international weather. At 55 minutes after the hour, find out how the weather will affect your drive with the Michelin Drivers Report. And no matter when you tune in, you're never more than minutes away from your local forecast. The Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Thunderstorms are producing rain and actually some severe weather in the Midwest, so be careful traveling, especially lower Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Let's go quickly to the radar, and we notice some thunderstorms blossoming near Indianapolis. These thunderstorms have produced golf ball-size hail, and tremendous storms now in western Ohio, also southwest of Lexington, Kentucky. And up here around Kalamazoo, Michigan, some thunderstorms, and the new watch has been issued, severe watch, which includes the Detroit area. Notice these thunderstorms are not moving very quickly. The upper flow is very weak, so we could have some urban flooding rains as well. Some of these areas, and the thunderstorms will eventually train eastward along a very powerful front, which is going to break the heat wave, but keep the storms intact. And the watches now extend, as we said, into lower Michigan right on through the evening. So Detroit, look out, east side of Indianapolis, Lexington, into Columbus, Ohio. A little bit of wind in the northeast. Stay tuned to the Weather Channel. We'll see if there's any break in the Florida heat coming up next.
It's a breakthrough that brings us to a new level of performance. In the rain, in the snow. It even saves gas. And now through July 31st, the tire engineered to take the world's finest luxury performance touring sedans through just about any weather helps you predict it. With this Oregon scientific weather forecasting station, free when you buy a set of 4 MXV4 tires, Michelin's new energy tires with radial XSE technology. It's science that goes beyond magic.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you, because so much is riding on your tires.
It's a scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else. Watch the next Weather Scope at the top and bottom of the hour, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast, coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Chantal is spinning in the Atlantic and slowly moving northwest. Where is it headed? Stay with us. We'll have all the details right here on the Weather Channel.
Lots to talk about. If the heat wave weren't enough, we have a tropical storm to deal with. Let's take you to Chantal, which is strengthening a little bit out in the Atlantic. And here's the 11 a.m. Advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center, which centers Chantal at 23 north, 67.9 west. That's about 340 miles north-northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Winds now up to 50 miles per hour, and the forward speed has increased a little bit to 9 miles per hour. The pressure has come down a bit as well, continuing to move to the west-northwest. And we'll just investigate the visible picture, what you like to see or don't like to see, but what you like to see for development are the thunderstorms wrapping around the center of the system, and that's certainly what we've seen over the past few hours. We continue to see a very gradual strengthening of this system. It's not meteoric, but it's certainly stronger than it was last night. And we'll be following this system as it moves to the west-northwest. Here it is with reference to the U.S. coast. There's Chantal, there's Georgia and Florida, and it continues its west-northwest track. It's still up in the air as if Chantal is going to make it all the way to the United States or is it going to turn before it gets here? That is a big question mark because there are other things going on in the atmosphere. The big high-pressure ridge that has brought the heat to the United States keeps getting bombarded by complexes of thunderstorms. The ridge here is breaking down, and the computer models are trying to bring a little bit of a trough into the northeast over the next 2 or 3 days, and that could steer Chantal away from the United States. But if the trough is weaker or Chantal becomes too strong, it really won't matter. So once again, I have a feeling it'll strengthen into a hurricane. That's a possibility. But whether it hits the United States or not is up in the air, and that is what we deal with in the summer with the slow-moving tropical storms and hurricanes. Usually they throw you a few curves. Now, as we move back home, well, one thing we can tell you is going to happen is this high up here on James Bay is going to force this front down through New England, so you'll feel better in Boston and Providence and even in New York City by tomorrow as the front kind of slides down and moves down the eastern seaboard a little bit. Low pressure in the Midwest will continue to bring thunderstorms. I think you'll be wet in Minneapolis, for example, and in the west it'll stay on the mild side. And this is what I was telling you about. A big complex of thunderstorms came up and over the ridge through New York State, which brought about 80-mile-an-hour winds through the Mohawk Valley, Capital District, western Massachusetts. It was hit very hard earlier. All of that is pushed out to sea, but you can see back here more and more thunderstorms will continue. So this whole area in the Great Lakes and Northeast is going to be prone to some powerful thunderstorms, not to mention those in Ohio, Indiana, down into Kentucky as a little disturbance in the upper atmosphere moves through the heat, and those storms aren't moving very fast either. There's our front. The relief has come into northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and hopefully into Boston and New York, because temperatures are already 100 at LaGuardia. The new temperatures will be coming in soon. I'm sure it's higher than that right now, 99 at Philly, but the heat index, adding in the humidity, feels like 115 for you in New York, 119 in Philadelphia. This is terrible. This is oppressive heat. Try to stay indoors if you can. Humans do not survive very well in these kind of heat indices. Keep those outdoor activities to later. There's that complex of thunderstorms that came in this morning. I think more could come in later today or tonight even. Anywhere along that front from the Midwest over to the eastern seaboard, watches out for severe thunderstorms from Michigan down through Indiana and Ohio. And the heat index still high in Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Cleveland. Some thunderstorms, though, cooling you off on the east side of Indy, where some golf ball size hail was noted. Also here in western Ohio, southwest of Lexington, Kentucky, also around Kalamazoo, Michigan. These should fire up, these thunderstorms, and maybe drift toward Detroit, but there's not a whole lot of movement down here, so there could be some flooding rains, Indiana and Ohio, as time goes on, out ahead of this particular frontal zone. Some rain could embark upon the Minneapolis area a little bit later on, too, coming up from the southwest, so keep the umbrella handy there. In the west, marine layer is shallow. San Francisco into the 80s today. Great day. Seattle, Portland, and even into Los Angeles. Let's go to the forecast for you, and we can watch that system slide down to the east, into the northeast, and bring the cooler air into Boston, into New York. You'll feel that drop in humidity. Lots of thunderstorms in the southeast. I think they'll be a little more numerous than they have been, but the heavy activity will be right along the front into the northeast. Oppressive heat, and of course with the humidities high at night, the air just does not want to lose that heat. The water molecules absorb the infrared radiation of the earth and keep the temperature up. And as we move on into the future, a little break for you: Chicago, Boston, New York, down to Philly, even into D.C. and Baltimore. But the 90s will prevail throughout the southeastern part of the country, including Atlanta, where it may cool off a little on Thursday, but Dallas, Kansas City stay hot. Thunderstorms, once again, could be heavy. New York, Philly, down through D.C. Monday night, and then most of the activity down toward Florida. Of course, we'll continue to watch Chantal and see what happens there. You can see a disturbance bringing rain to Chicago on Thursday, and we'll look at the Florida forecast coming up next.
Take a good look through new Transitions comfort lenses. The new lightweight plastic prescription lenses with a special tint that lightens and darkens as the light changes. The only lightweight plastic lenses that darken and lighten just like that. It's comfort you can see day or night, inside or outside. Ask for new Transitions comfort lenses and see for yourself. They're right in any light.
For West Coast info to keep you in the know, watch the Pacific Update. Only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Understands that the simple act of petting a dog can make people healthier and happier. It's even been suggested that people who own dogs lead longer, fuller lives. Now, knowing what dogs do for you, wouldn't it be nice to do the same for them? You can, by feeding your dog Iams every day. It's more nutritious because its quality ingredients are more digestible. Iams dog food, good for life, from the Iams Company.
Every so often, the wind carries misfortune. The snowfall can paralyze, and the rain washes away dreams. But we go on, together, helping each other rebuild, helping each other dream again. Because severe weather is less frightening when you're prepared for it, we bring you the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. Is waiting beyond the horizon. And every time you say goodbye, a new adventure begins. What will you discover when you reach your destination? What will you find when those wings bring you back to Earth? Because there are some surprises that you'd rather be prepared for, we bring you the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to.
If you're boating on the lakes of Minnesota, look out. Lots of thunderstorms are there. Big cluster of thunderstorms in Indiana and Kentucky that aren't moving very much. And we have cloudiness along the eastern seaboard, although the thunderstorms have moved out to sea, and the west is looking pretty good too. As we look into the Great Lakes, water temperatures are cool, and you might want to get out there into the lakes because the air temperatures are very hot. Cooler air has worked its way down the Maine coast with the front, but not into southern New England. It will do that and switch the winds a little more northerly come tomorrow. In the southeast, light winds, oppressive heat. Certainly you're used to that this time of year. And of course, very, very hot water temperatures, 84 off Miami No wonder tropical weather is brewing out in the Atlantic. As we move to the west, kind of a warm day in San Francisco. The onshore flow is not as pronounced, and the marine layer is shallow in Southern California, so not a lot of cloudiness. The Pacific Northwest is looking good. Tropical storm warnings now in the Bahamas, and watches elsewhere. We'll show you where. That'll be coming up next.
There's a smile in every Hershey bar.
As you know, it's been a tough year. In fact, our worst year ever. But
How could a cereal called Basic 4 be so much fun to eat? Could it be all that sweet and tangy fruit? Those crunchy nuts? Those lightly toasted flakes? Who knows?
Excuse me, I'm talking bankruptcy here.
Who cares?
They took that better than I thought.
With all those fruits and nuts, there's nothing basic about Basic 4.
Time for the Florida forecast, but we just want to alert you now in the southeastern Bahamian Islands. Tropical storm warnings have been issued for the central Bahamas. Tropical storm watches have been issued as Chantal continues to move to the west-northwest. It's lost a millibar of pressure, 1,005 millibars, with this developing system continuing to move, at least for the time being, to the west-northwest. Once again, anywhere along the southeast coast of the United States, keep track of the Weather Channel as this developing system moves very, very slowly now. It could move toward the United States. It could turn to the north. It's still kind of up in the air right now, but it's definitely strengthening, and the winds are coming up just a bit. Now back into Florida, water temperatures nice and warm, as we showed you a little bit earlier, and air temperatures up around 90, and of course hot in the interior with thunderstorms developing in the east, moving west. Well, more on the tropical storm coming up.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER and connect.
Now there's a new hearing aid for Miracle Ear. So advanced, it's virtually invisible. Now you see it. Now you don't. It's the new Mirage hearing aid for Miracle Ear. Call now. We'll send you these free booklets that tell you how the virtually invisible Mirage may help you hear better. If you call 1-800-890-3300 right now, we'll also send you this free videotape, Hearing Loss and You. It'll show you the most common causes and solutions for hearing loss. And we'll include the free booklets about the new Mirage hearing aid for Miracle Ear. You see, Mirage is our most advanced hearing aid that fits completely into the ear canal. It's not only small, it's virtually invisible. Call Miracle Ear at 1-800-890-3300. We'll send you important new information about hearing loss and the virtually invisible Mirage.
It's amazing. I know he's wearing it, but I can't see it.
So call Miracle Ear at 1-800-890-3300. Call now.
To travel, watch the 5-Day Business Planner here on the Weather Channel at 20 minutes after every hour. You get a comprehensive national report that covers the forecast over the next 5 days. Watch the 5-Day Business Planner coming up soon on the Weather Channel.
And we'll look at Alaska and Hawaii, and we see an area of low pressure sliding south of the Aleutian chain. And actually we have some clouds and even a little bit of rain into Fairbanks. So yesterday, Fairbanks, you were 84 degrees. I don't think you'll get much above 70 today, or maybe struggle to make 70 as the clouds and light rain area is into your vicinity. There's Barbara, a very a quick weakening hurricane. I don't think it's going to affect the Hawaiian Islands very much at all. It'll be up around 90 before this day is over in Honolulu. Now it's morning and it's 78 degrees. The trade winds aren't quite as frisky as they normally are. Northeast at 9 at Honolulu, and actually calm winds at Molokai. 50s with a light rain at Fairbanks, and as we move down to the south, Anchorage at 55. Probably you'll hold in the 60s during the day, and maybe a little bit of rain along the south coast. Stay tuned to the Weather Channel. We'll check out what's going to happen with the heat and the tropical storm with a 5-day outlook coming up.
To beat the stock market, you could spend thousands on these newsletters and magazines. Or you could have subscribed to Individual Investor magazine, the one publication that beats them all.
I like to invest in stocks that go up. Their stocks go up.
For the third consecutive year, we beat the experts.
Our Magic 25 was up almost 5 times the S&P 500 and more than 11 times the NASDAQ Composite.
I made a lot of money with Individual Investor.
In terms of the stock market, there really isn't a better bargain than Individual Investor.
This year, we've got an even better deal.
Call right now, and we'll send you the next year of Individual Investor for just $22.95. And now you'll get this handsome digital clock radio.
You have to be crazy to play the stock market without Individual Investor.
To take advantage of this incredible offer, call right now.
You have two choices. You can continue to be an average investor, or you can trounce the averages with Individual Investor.
Call now for 1 year of Individual Investor, Magic 25 issue, monthly updates, and alarm clock radio for $22.95.
It's powerful enough to reduce cooling bills by up to 40%. Strong enough to move 9,500 cubic feet of air per minute. Still, the Hunter ceiling fan is the quietest thing in the room. Hunter, quiet for life.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation I'm climbing the Alps. Above, pure powdery snow. Below, an alpine village. Oh, look, a little oompa band. Oompa, oompa.
York peppermint patty. Get the sensation.
Don't let the weather jeopardize your plans for success. Tune in to the 5-Day Business Planner following your local forecast, right here on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Through the next 5 days with the Business Planner, and just a quick update for you in case you have not heard. We do have a tropical storm warning in effect for the southeastern Bahamas, including the Turks and Caicos Islands, right in through here, this deeper or red shaded area. A tropical storm watch has been issued for most of the Bahamas as we go through the afternoon. That watch becoming effective as of noon local time. We'll keep you posted, and we'll have more on tropical weather, on Tropical Storm Chantal at the bottom of the hour, about 30 past. Here's what's happening across the lower 48. Low pressure in Iowa, cold front across New England. Were those some big-time thunderstorms or what this morning across the Northeast? Folks in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, especially the Berkshires. Quite a bit of wind damage with those thunderstorms. We'll have a very interesting satellite sequence and show you the evolution of those storms coming up in about 5 minutes or so. It's another warm, sticky day, a record-breaking heat day for the Mid-Atlantic, and we've had severe thunderstorms erupt already very early in the day across western Ohio, where some flooding has been reported in Darke County, right in the west central part of the state. Big thunderstorms also have popped up around Milwaukee. One cluster has now moved out over the lake. There's a second line getting ready to move on through. Folks in Chicago certainly would love to have some rain to cool things down. It has been very, very hot around Chicago, most of the Midwest with this particular heat wave. Now, we do have this cold front, but it's a very slow-moving cold front. This thing is not setting any land speed records by any means. You notice the front still north and west of Chicago tomorrow morning. Now, the best we can hope for is that at least some thunderstorms will get into northern Illinois to cool things off temporarily. Showers and storms developing in the afternoon heat over the southwest. We actually have an upper-level disturbance sitting over the north end of the Baja, and in time that may pinwheel or pull back some of the moisture into Southern California. We may see a few more thunderstorms developing in the afternoon heat over the deserts in Southern California coming up not only, let's say, today, but especially likely Sunday afternoon and evening. South of this cold front, the warm, sticky air mass prevails. There'll be some scattered storms in the afternoon. They could be severe at times. These are the highs projected today. 90s cutting up into southern Wisconsin, across the lower lakes into southern New England. It's already 100 degrees around LaGuardia, also at Newark, at least the last time we checked in. And you'll notice, as you head to the south, just plenty of heat. It pretty much stays intact tomorrow over the southeast and the Ohio Valley. Then the cold front pushes through, and it will have a dramatic effect on the daytime highs. You'll get out of those 90s back into the more seasonal 80s with lower humidity levels. And then as we focus our attention on the southern plains, it looks like a bit of a warm-up developing, especially midweek into Thursday. At that time, we'll see plenty of 90s developing over the central and southern plains, but look what happens in the lakes and the northeast. 70s and 80s for daytime high temperatures. Precipitation-wise, showers and storms. This front could be a real battle zone between that record-breaking, that hot tropical air and the cooler Canadian drier air coming in behind it. So we go through that period of strong storms, perhaps with very heavy rain. Scattered storms along the western Gulf Coast. Don't forget, ultimately, depending on what happens with our tropical storm, that may affect the forecast along the southeastern seaboard. We'll keep you advised on any changes. Wednesday and Thursday, more storms over the Rockies, pushing back into California, and certainly stretching across the upper Midwest. Could see some fairly healthy rain totals developing over Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Here's a breakthrough in caring for your teeth. Dazzling whitening from a new fluoride toothpaste, and it's safe to use every day. Introducing Aquafresh Whitening with its patented Tri-Clean formula. In clinical tests, Aquafresh was proven to whiten better than Crest. Even Rembrandt can't beat it. You see, Aquafresh Whitening is different. It helps gently break up stains to help get your teeth their whitest, without peroxide, bleach, or harsh abrasives. New Aquafresh Whitening, safe to use every day for dazzling whiter teeth.
Saturday morning. You can spend them catching up on your sleep or catching up with your kids over a plate of Bisquick pancakes.
Well, it's time to take a look at a couple of radars. Let's start out with a fairly wide radar view. The Midwest into the Ohio Valley. We have several, in fact, 3 clusters of storms going. One here in the southern plains, another one in Minnesota, heading into northwestern Iowa, and big thunderstorms. Quite a few of these already have produced some severe weather across the Ohio Valley. We do have a couple of weather watches from Michigan southward into Kentucky through at least late this evening. Let's go ahead and take a look at a closer radar perspective for you. Chicago looking north to Milwaukee, Ozaukee County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. If you live from Milwaukee north, this particular line
Very high potential for some pretty large hailstones coming out of that particular cluster of thunderstorms, so get ready for that possibility. And check out these storms. They're quite nasty. Flood warning still in effect in west central Ohio. That's in Darke County until 5 this afternoon. These storms will drop some excessively heavy rainfall.
I love Hank. I hate the smell. But why use a flowery cover-up? That's no way to freshen the air. That's like sweeping dirt under a rug, and I'd never do that. The Glade Neutralizer with natural plant and herb extracts doesn't just cover up, it neutralizes for a natural freshness that's like opening a window. Much better. No offense, Hank.
Don't just cover up, neutralize with Glade Neutralizer.
Fresh from Glade, SC Johnson Wax.
Look, a MasterCard won't make you different or unique, okay? Actually, maybe it will. I mean, millions of people use MasterCard, but yours is meant for you and you alone. So if someone steals it, instead of worrying about people running around pretending to be you, call right away and cancel it, because after all, there's only one you. What's more, even if somebody does manage to charge stuff to you, you won't pay a cent, and we may even be able to get you a new card the next day. But just for you. Now, how's that for a useful card? MasterCard, it's more than a credit card, it's smart money.
When it comes to paint, we're making a name for ourselves because we make our own and guarantee its quality. That's Ace, the name to know for paint.
Watch international weather, now 42 minutes after every hour, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Storm Chantal is spinning in the Atlantic and slowly moving northwest. Where is it headed? Stay with us. We'll have all the details right here on the Weather Channel.
Well, let's go ahead and tell you what's happening currently, and then we'll have that all-important forecast like when does the heat wave end. We're back into the books today already in Baltimore, 100 degrees. Central Park, 99 degrees. It's already been 100 out at LaGuardia. Philly at 98. And in many cases, these temperatures will continue to rise as we go through the afternoon, and you can count on probably a few more records beyond what we have here for you as we go through late this afternoon. But we do have a pattern shift, a shift in the atmospheric pattern to bring some relief. A trough of low pressure of the upper levels will sweep through the lakes. We're going to deal with some severe weather, some very heavy rain, maybe some flooding, especially today across parts of the upper Midwest as the front finally kicks through. That upper high, which has been primarily responsible for a lot of this heat and very high humidity, is going to break down a little bit. It's going to weaken and shift itself a little farther south, and with that pattern shift, relief on the way, but there may be some very heavy rain. We have such a loaded air mass. The air is so incredibly full of water vapor that these storms, once they develop, can produce some very, very high rain totals. As you'll see on radar, we do have some pretty active storms already occurring. And of course, things are still hopping in the tropics. Let's take a look at what's happening. And we'll check out the tropics for you. Just so you know, a tropical storm warning has been issued for the southeastern Bahamas, including the Turks and Caicos Islands, right in through here. Here's a tropical storm, Chantal. This is a tropical storm watch for just about all of the Bahamas as you head away from the southeastern part of the Bahamas. Now, this watch just recently issued, watch and warning. Here it is, a closer bird's eye view of the tropical storm. I'll get over here so you can get a better view. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? This is actually what appears to be the center of lowest pressure, which, according to reconnaissance aircraft, once again today, it is not very low. The strength of this particular tropical system in terms of its minimum pressure, not very impressive. That's pretty much been the history of this system. It has not, at least up to date, been very well organized. It's trying to get better organized today. The convection or the thunderstorms perhaps developing closer to the center. And bottom line, with developing tropical weather systems, in order to get that pressure to start falling down and for the system to intensify, we usually need to wrap around quite a bit of thunderstorm action around the center of lowest pressure. That kind of spins this thing and gets it going and energizes it, but we don't really have that process happening to any great extent. However, at least a trend, which is not always going to continue, but at least a trend right now is to see a little more thunderstorm development near the center of circulation. We'll have a complete tropical update, 46 past. There it is, anyway, in a full view. There's Florida, the Bahamas, as we mentioned. That tropical storm warning has been issued for the southeastern Bahamas. Over the lower 48, some thunderstorms, some very heavy rain falling up here in the hills in northeastern Alabama and west-northwest of Chattanooga. And then we get into these tremendous storms across the Ohio Valley, very heavy rain. Wanted to show you real quickly what happened last night with that tremendous wind-damaging complex of storms. It developed up in Ontario initially and then raced down across New England. Reports of 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds. Unfortunately, we may have had some nasty injuries, maybe some fatalities with this cluster of storms as it moved through New York into the Berkshires and Massachusetts. Just an incredible massive thunderstorms pushing through. It did cool things off, but unfortunately it brought quite a bit of damage. Today, this is where we have the severe thunderstorm watches, at least right now, from Michigan south to Kentucky. We'll start down to the south. Here are those thunderstorms well north and west of Atlanta at this time. The storm's stretching up towards Chattanooga, but again, most of the action still a little bit west of town. These storms will pretty much rain themselves out, and there could be quite a bit. Flooding in Darke County, a flood warning in effect in Darke County in Ohio until 5 p.m. this afternoon. Big thunderstorms, particularly in southwestern Indiana, and then again as you head over towards the east central parts of the Hoosier State. And in Milwaukee, we've had a couple of clusters of storms move through. This latest line north of town could produce some very large hail. It's moving towards the lakefront. That should move on into Milwaukee very shortly if it has not already occurred. A closer view shows you there's Milwaukee, there's Chicago, big storms primarily in southeastern Wisconsin. Down here around Chicagoland, not too much popping. In fact, you'll notice a few storms tried to get organized, but they almost collapsed. So it looks like still we have a little bit of an inhibiting factor around northernmost Illinois. Lots of hot air about 10,000 feet above the ground, and sometimes it tends to put a cap and prevent these storms from getting too terribly organized. And by the way, the cold front's still up here in Wisconsin. It has to push to the south. Minneapolis at 79, but Chicago's at 94, so yeah, there's your front, moving very, very slowly. In fact, just kind of draped across southern Wisconsin. We talked about this low developing in Iowa yesterday and how it would slow the front down. Well, in this case, unfortunately, that did work out, and here it is. That warm front going to hold tight for a while with those big thunderstorms in Wisconsin. There's your front through the northeast. You notice the temperature contrast. South of my hand, we're into the 90s and into the record books. North of that, though, much cooler 70s as the front has pushed through. The heat index, 117 degrees. Dangerous from New York heading all the way down to D.C., Baltimore, and even Pittsburgh, a heat index of 112. And those 100 heat indexes trail westward through St. Louis and Kansas City. The west looking pretty decent. And we do have some thunderstorms in the forecast. These storms along this front are going to be very nasty over the next 24 hours. The low pressure cuts up into lower Michigan. Could be a very wet forecast coming up in Michigan in the next 24 to 36 hours. Heaviest rain targeted from the southern Rockies, heading across the lower Great Lakes and down into parts of the mid-Atlantic. In this corridor, we could see 1 to 3 inches of precipitation.
There's something special about owning a John Deere. You wake up a little earlier on weekends. You skip morning coffee. And you really, really hate it when it rains. From trimmers to lawn and garden tractors, your John Deere dealer has all sorts of ways to make your work more enjoyable.
For more information about John Deere lawn and garden equipment, contact your local John Deere dealer.
For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel. Conditions and temperatures across Europe. Watch international weather coming up right after your local forecast, only on the Weather Channel.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum. The name that means protection.
An egg, a little Bisquick, some milk. On a Sunday morning, it adds up to a lot more than pancakes.
If your car isn't performing like it used to, put back the power with Slick 50 Fuel System Formula. 10 times more powerful than the leading fuel treatment, Slick 50 cleans the entire fuel system. You'll feel the difference guaranteed. Ask for Slick 50 Fuel System Formula. More power to you.
Slick 50 Fuel System Formula can be found at the following fine retailers.
There's a tornado coming to your video library. Now, a re-release of the best-selling title from the Weather Channel Home Video Collection. This is your chance to own The Enemy Wind. 45 minutes of tornado action and 2 thrilling stories. First, follow the exploits of a fearless storm chaser and photographer as he documents the fury of the storm. Then, the Weather Channel production that takes you inside the destructive force of the tornado, The Enemy Wind. How the storm is forecast to the tale of one tornado town. Call 1-800-525-6600 now, and you can own The Enemy Wind for just $19.95. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-525-6600 to charge by phone, or send check or money order to the address on the screen. Call now, 1-800-525-6600.
Well, let's take a look ahead for you and see when and where this heat gets a little bit less oppressive. In fact, by Monday, by that time, the front will have pushed on into the Ohio Valley. So we're looking at 70s and 80s from, let's say, northern Ohio heading up into the lakes. We'll find 80s here in Ohio, 70s in northern Wisconsin. A lot better than some of those upper 90s and 100s that you've seen lately. Going into the new week, Tuesday, Wednesday, still warm and sticky in the southeast, but that's fairly common this time of the year. We'll see the heat pumping north into the plains and also as we head up through the valley in California. You could be looking at some upper 90s and low 100s. Precipitation-wise, showers and thunderstorms. Some of these will be heavy as the tropical air is escorted eastbound, but rather slowly. You notice even Tuesday, lingering storms along the East Coast. Finally, Wednesday, the dry air shoots into Pennsylvania, New York City, heading south to D.C. But scattered storms linger near the Gulf Coast. That's the front, which is stuck in the humid air mass, and more isolated storms in the southwest. We'll check out London's weather coming up next.
This vacation break is brought to you by Gold Coast Cruise Center.
Ready to plan your vacation? Pay less? Get great values and savings? Let Gold Coast Cruises show you how.
Get set for the vacation of a lifetime with an exciting and fun-filled cruise from Gold Coast Cruise Center for less than $100 per day. Bask in the warmth of the bright Caribbean sun, frolic in the pool, relax in the jacuzzi. With Gold Coast Cruise Center, you can save from $300 to $1,500 per cabin. One low price includes all your meals and buffets, free round-the-clock room service, most shipboard activities. Enjoy fabulous ports of call, the Bahamas, Aruba, San Juan, the Mexican Riviera, and more. Call now for free cruise brochures. 1-800-443-7447. Be sure to ask about your complimentary cruise video. It's free. Call now. 1-800-443-7447.
It's time to check into international weather, and it's sponsored by the Travel Channel. How about a satellite sequence to show you what's happening anyway, at least early this evening? A big storm which has been spinning around the British Isles is finally getting pushed to the north. It's heading almost due north. It's going to end up somewhere west of Norway in the next 24 hours. Now, the trailing cold front slides through France. We had quite a few thunderstorms today developing over central Poland. You'll notice this bright white splotch there. Some very heavy rain, most likely, with that particular cluster as it developed during the day. What about the forecast? Well, the cold front should continue its trek to the east. We're going to slice it through Poland on midday Sunday and trail it back down towards Venice, maybe a little south of Venice during the afternoon. But still unsettled with some clouds and passing showers at times in the British Isles. Temperatures holding in the 50s for folks heading into northern Scotland, 60s around central England, and some 70s showing up in the south part of Britain. Here's a look at your forecast. Mid-70s in Brussels, mid-70s, partly cloudy skies in Frankfurt, and rain in Stockholm. We'll have the latest on tropical weather coming up next.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER and connect.
Can your radio do this? Only one radio can give you stereo sound this big, yet is small enough to fit almost anywhere. The extraordinary new Wave radio from Bose. Press the remote control and hear sound from a radio like you've never heard before. Big, rich sound that fills the room. You hear music the way it was meant to be heard. Clear, full, incredibly lifelike. You've got to hear the Wave radio to believe it. And now you can, in your own home. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call us toll-free to learn how, and we'll deliver the Wave radio to your door. Experience big stereo sound from a radio. Call today for more information. It will make a difference in the way you listen to music. A big difference.
Watching the Weather Channel for accurate forecasts at your convenience. Weather you can always turn to.
There are those among tastes. They only want the best. And for them, there can only be Fancy Feast, the gourmet cat food. Exceptionally moist, uniquely delicious, for a gourmet taste to satisfy even the most discriminating connoisseurs. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Fancy Feast invites you to the Frisky CFA Cat Show. Call this number for local details.
Maybe it's because their frames are welded instead of bolted. Or because their decks are stamped from a single piece of steel. Or maybe it's the fact that they have the highest resale value in the industry.
Oh, hey, I always wanted one of these.
But the truth is, when people are asked what kind of lawn tractor they'd like as a gift,
Happy birthday, Dad.
most say the same thing.
For more information about John Deere lawn and garden equipment, contact your local John Deere dealer.
All right, let's go ahead and give you some information regarding our tropical storm, Chantal, in the Atlantic. Here are the coordinates, and these, as of 2 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 23.2 north, 68.2 west. So the center of circulation was located near that latitude and longitude fix. Roughly, if you wanted to talk miles, let's say about 360 miles north-northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico, so it continues to skirt well north of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Movement west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. That's a bit of an increase in its forward speed since, let's say, about 6 to 10 hours ago. And lowest pressure, 1005 millibars, or 29.68 inches of mercury. So it continues to move off to the west-northwest, but overall the lowest pressure, not very impressive, although it has decreased, let's say, compared to 24 hours ago. We are getting some convection or thunderstorms getting closer to the center of circulation. Officially, the government of the Bahamas has issued this tropical storm warning for the southeastern Bahamas, including the Turks and Caicos Islands. And then as you head farther west up through the rest of the Bahamas, we're looking at a tropical storm watch. Here's the infrared or the colorized satellite imagery, and what you see here are the bright yellow and red splotches indicating where we have at times developing thunderstorms, and then some of those higher cloud tops from the storms actually get pushed away from the original point of development, so they'll still show up as yellow and red at times. The thunderstorms are trying to get closer to that center of circulation. Now, in terms of the upper levels, what kind of pattern do we have? You'll notice we're still getting these little fibrous or finger-like elements to the clouds here. Those are high clouds, and when the clouds portray this kind of pattern, it usually tells you that at least upstairs above this thing that there is still some air flowing outwards away from it, so that would indicate somewhat favorable conditions here. And as we look at the visible satellite view, now we can get a better sense as to where the area of lowest pressure is. If you follow the motion of some of the lower clouds, you get this general sense of this pinwheeling around here. This, we believe, the center of circulation, and you notice some lumpy or thicker looking bright white cloud masses here. Those are intense storms popping up. They're trying to wrap around the center of this thing. That's the process that needs to occur. The thunderstorms starting to develop, increase in coverage, and also increase in terms of circulating around the area of lowest pressure. If that process occurs to any great extent, at that time you would see the system starting to intensify. But it really hasn't happened to any large extent. It's shown signs, at least at times, of trying to do that, but it'll do it to such an extent and then start to collapse once again. So not exactly a very, very well organized tropical storm per se. Now you notice there's the cloud mass well north of Hispaniola and still a good distance away from the southeastern seaboard of the United States. As far as the forecast, in the short term, it should continue its present motion. There are way, way too many variables that could affect the eventual track of this tropical weather system, just like most. We have a lot of things going on the East Coast which could impact the eventual course of the tropical weather system. So at least for the short term, it continues that west-northwesterly course. There are at least 4 or 5 different models that are looked at to try to project the course of these things, and they're not agreeing at all. So we'll have to keep a close eye and just see how it develops over the longer term. But for now, government of Bahamas has issued that tropical storm warning for the southeastern Bahamas. Here's a look at West Africa, a little bit of a tropical wave, a very weak one coming off the coast. This was a fairly healthy one when it emerged 2 days ago. It's tracking pretty far to the north, actually. It's still way far away from the states or the islands to be any threat to any landmass. Here in the eastern Pacific, Central America, some thunderstorms, a little bit of a flare up here, a little bit of a disturbance trying to get better organized. But the big story is still Hurricane Barbara, although trend-wise, it has continued to drop off in strength. It's moving west at 16 miles per hour. The sustained winds are dropped off now down to 90 miles per hour, about 1,335 miles east-southeast of Hilo, and that was as of 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Here's a look at the satellite view, and you can see there is a little bit of convection popping up around this system, but overall the weakening trend is expected as it continues to move over cooler ocean waters. Let's check your forecast across the lower 48. Tremendous storms producing flooding across Minnesota. In fact, just within the past 20 minutes, a flood watch has been issued for parts of west central and southern Minnesota, including Redwood Falls. So we could be dealing with rain totals on the order of 3 to 4 inches coming up this afternoon. We've already seen that in some spots. Now, this cold front will move very slow through Kansas, very, very slowly, triggering big thunderstorms, especially tomorrow afternoon.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
Find out the conditions before you get on the road. Watch the Michelin Drivers Report, following your local forecast, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast, coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
catching up on your sleep, or catching up with your kids over a plate of Bisquick pancakes.
At 42 minutes after the hour, you can find out what the weather is like in Germany and Spain. At 42 minutes after the hour, you can see the temperatures for Italy and France. And at 42 minutes after the hour, we explain how the conditions for England and Russia can affect travel plans. Watch International Weather. Now, 42 minutes after every hour, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Big thunderstorms, and again, a flood watch has been issued for the second day in a row for parts of Minnesota. Very high rain potential because we have so much tropical air which has forced itself northward right up against the leading edge of the cool air from Canada, the cold front, and there are going to be some very heavy rainstorms coming out of this particular weather setup. Severe weather still a big concern, especially as we head across the Midwest and down across parts of the Mid-Atlantic, although the big concern today is how do we deal with the incredibly hot air and the high humidity, the dangerously high heat indexes, especially around New York City, Philly, Baltimore, Washington, and Harrisburg. Scattered storms, some strong at times along the Gulf Coast from Florida to Texas, and then later today we should see this zone of potential strong storms developing even further. All right, let's take you into a radar out of Milwaukee. We've had some golf ball hail out in Waukesha County, north part of the county. The same storms are now moving towards the north edge of Milwaukee, heading up towards Ozaukee County. Most of the county has seen some rain, some pretty intense storms. They'll continue to move east, out over Lake Michigan.
It's a breakthrough that brings us to a new level of performance. In the rain, in the snow. It even saves gas. And now through July 31st, the tire engineered to take the world's finest luxury performance touring sedans through just about any weather helps you predict it. With this Oregon Scientific Weather Forecasting Station, free when you buy a set of 4 MXV4 tires, Michelin's new energy tires with radial XSE technology. It's science that goes beyond magic.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
It's a scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else. Watch the next Weather Scope at the top and bottom of the hour, only on the Weather Channel. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast, coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
Tropical storm Chantal is spinning in the Atlantic and slowly moving northwest. Where is it headed? Stay with us. We'll have all the details right here on the Weather Channel.
Well, we will look at Chantal, tropical storm Chantal east of the Bahamas. We'll also look at some of the numbers. The heat index in some cases above 120 degrees today. No, that is not correct. Let's get that one off. Thank you very much. The heat index very warm today in portions of to the east. We also have a look at your forecast to round out this weekend. Hopefully, the rest of this is going to go a little bit better. Let's look at the numbers, and we'll show you what we've found out there. As of 2 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, also 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight, Chantal, tropical storm Chantal, is centered 360 miles north-northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Top sustained winds 50. Chantal moving west-northwest at 9, and the pressure has dropped off very slowly today. Not much of a change, although certainly a little bit of a change compared to yesterday, so we do believe that Chantal is strengthening somewhat. Here's the latest that we have. The government of the Bahamas has issued tropical storm warnings and watches. The extreme southeastern corner of the Bahamas are looking at warnings. The central Bahamas looking at watches at the present time. Again, our official track, there's still a wide range of where the tropical storm may go. It still may continue over toward the Bahamas, but some other forecasts tend to pull Chantal to the north. So that's what we're watching. Although, as we do look at our infrared satellite photographs, lots of yellows and reds here, and the significant change today, it looks like some of these thunderstorms are finally starting to wrap around the center of circulation. In fact, the Hurricane Hunter, the Air Force reconnaissance aircraft, had said there was a closed circulation out there where they could see about 8 diameters or 8 miles in diameter. That is about the width of this circulation center, with the storms and the showers lining up around it. So that may indicate to us that the wind shear, the high-level winds, may have slackened up some, so this could lead to further development. Really, our main story, at least for the past few days, has been the heat wave stretching from Chicago. It's 96 today, 101 in New York City. Some other readings as we look across the Great Lakes, much cooler today. We are seeing a line of showers and storms, though, cooling the temperatures down. Some of those right now near Milwaukee, and there have been some reports of some large hail with these storms. Heat index still quite uncomfortable around Chicago, 106. Over to Cleveland, unbearable 110 degrees. Farther to the east, Philly and New York, you are tied. You're in a race to see how hot it can get. Around Baltimore, too, the temperature has topped 100 degrees today, and we're waiting to see if it's going to top out at 101 or 2, or maybe even up to 103. Heat index 123 at Philadelphia. D.C., Baltimore, New York, you're all in those mid-100s to near 120 degrees also. So it is, needless to say, quite hot outside, and what a better thing to do than sit inside and watch a little bit of TWC and keep updated with the weather. Okay, as we look at the latest satellite picture, we see a ridge of high pressure in the east. With high pressure, the air sinks and it heats up, and this is a rather large high pressure center across portions of the east. We do see a cold front to the north stretching out of this low and across the Great Lakes, a stationary front. Later tonight, we may see another massive thunderstorm complex like the one that raked across central New York State last night. Numerous reports of trees down. We're talking about a 20-mile swath in some locations, southern Adirondacks, Hamilton County, that were just wiped out due to these strong gusty winds from the thunderstorm. So a great idea would be, before you hit the sack tonight, tune into the Weather Channel and just check the radar to see if another one of these storm complexes form. It may be in the same vicinity or a little bit farther to the east. In fact, the storms that are in Wisconsin now may be the forerunners of one of these thunderstorm complexes, or some of the storms in central Minnesota may be. As we look at the latest close-up radar out of southern Minnesota, some very heavy rains over toward Yellow Medicine County. Reports of upwards of 4 inches of rain, flash flooding going on. This rain making its way over toward the Twin Cities, so it's looking a little wet later today. Heading into the Ohio Valley, we do see some showers and storms. Some of these earlier down to around Metcalfe County. Farther to the north, heavy showers and storms in Darke County, western Ohio. Skies are dark due to torrential rains, even some thunderstorms now near Indianapolis, but the heaviest of the weather is in western Ohio to the west of Columbus. These storms are not moving fast, so they are producing tremendous amounts of water. Also near Milwaukee, you're looking at storms. These storms now crossing the lake, and we do see some storms starting to perk up north of Detroit. We'll watch those. Some of those have produced hail. Let's head back, look at your forecast, and this is the way it's looking for your Sunday. Maybe some storms around Philly to Detroit and Chicago. Again, we will watch for one of those large thunderstorm complexes that may form tonight anywhere through the Great Lakes. Locally heavy rains, of course, and we've already seen 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in some of those thunderstorms that have developed early this afternoon. Staying quite muggy in the southeast tonight. Tomorrow, another hot one into the 90s. Close to 100 degrees again tomorrow in Atlanta, where it is just about today. Highs the next few days we will notice around New York and Boston to Pittsburgh. It's going to feel cool outside, at least compared to the temperatures that we have seen the past couple of days. Your forecast looks like this as we look into Monday. Somewhat wet in the east from Philly to Pittsburgh up to Buffalo. Tuesday, more storms in the northeast. Then the weather pattern will calm down, but of course we'll have to watch the southeast for some tropical moisture. Coming up next, we'll have a look at tomorrow's forecast.
At Iams, we know that having a cat can do wonders for a person's health and happiness. It can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, helping us lead longer, fuller lives. Well, now you can return the favor by feeding your cat Iams every day. Cats love its taste, and it's more nutritious because its quality ingredients are more digestible. Iams cat food, good for life. From the Iams Company.
For West Coast info to keep you in the know, watch the Pacific Update. Only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. For up-to-date information on the weather that affects you, watch the local forecast. Coming up next, only on the Weather Channel.
This is the world's most powerful long-distance network. It carries the most calls, faxes, and data. It gives every call up to 134 routes. AT&T built it on one principle. The business world has its ups and its downs. Only AT&T's network is so reliable, it's guaranteed, because your business shouldn't have to feel the impact. AT&T, for the life of your business.
Remember Miss McGillicuddy, your 6th grade teacher? She was the greatest science teacher in the whole world. And it wasn't just because you had a crush on her. It was because she taught you the whys and wherefores of weather. Well, you're older now, and even though your crush on Miss McGillicuddy has faded, your need for weather information hasn't. That's why you watch the Weather Classroom Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's not Miss McGillicuddy, but it's the next best thing. The Weather Classroom, only on the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to. It happens every day, hundreds of times, and you don't even know it. Earthquakes, right under your feet. It's a natural hazard that threatens millions of people. And every day, the Weather Channel brings you the Earthquake Activity Report. We'll advise of earthquake activity near the West Coast during the past 24 hours. Maps showing centers of activity are color-coded to official measurements. Watch the Earthquake Activity Report, only on the Weather Channel.
Well, here's a look at our latest radar before we head into our forecast. We do have some heavy storms north of Detroit, also around the Milwaukee area. we'll keep an eye on these. In fact, we'll look at some radars just before our 5-day forecast. Let's head into our forecast for today and see how it looks out there now. And we can tell you that our look ahead is sponsored by Healthy Choice Premium Low-Fat Ice Cream. Eat what you like. Temperatures the next few days, starting off with a mini heat wave in portions of the west from Spokane down to Boise, also the California Valley heating up, but this time of year that is normal. Likewise around Las Vegas to Phoenix. On the East Coast, probably staying hot around Atlanta. You're up to 99 degrees today, but that doesn't beat areas like Baltimore. You're at 102. I think you'll see some relief by the time Monday rolls around, especially into midweek. Much of the Northeast, New York to Philly up to Albany, much more pleasant readings. Your forecast looks like this, starting out wet in the Northeast, then we'll have to turn our attention to the Southeast and just watch where Chantal goes because some tropical moisture may head into the Southeast. Coming up next, we'll look at the shore.
I just think about a pint of ice cream and boom, there's a spoon in my mouth. When that little pint calls, I answer on the first ring. Hello. And why not? These are brand new Healthy Choice pints. Yeah, pints. Loaded with the good stuff. A chewy fudge, gooey caramel, cappuccino mocha fudge. They're rich, creamy, only 2 grams of fat. It's magic. And it's all mine. With new Healthy Choice pints, I eat what I like. Time for the big spoon.
It's ice cream eating weather now.
So tender, so innocent, your gums, so vulnerable to the wicked germs hoping to ravage them. Insidiously, they can inflict gum disease. These germs are not fiction. They are in your mouth, threatening your gums. Stop them now with Listerine. Only germ-killing Listerine is clinically proven to help prevent the gum disease gingivitis. Listerine, the power of prevention. They're germs. They deserve to die.
Well, as we look at our boating forecast out there today, first the latest UV index and some of the numbers for tomorrow running rather high. 10 around Tampa to Miami, also some high numbers across portions of the Central Rockies, maybe for your hikers, especially the higher you go, that's the higher the number because the UV index will increase. If you're going outdoors, a hat's always a good idea, and certainly the appropriate amount of sunscreen. Winds tomorrow, a little bit stronger around the Cape, but generally light winds for the eastern coast, Lake Huron, also breezier. Rest of the Great Lakes looking at lighter winds. Light winds for the southeast for where the exception of a thunderstorm pops up. Then, of course, we will find some winds stronger there. Also breezier conditions, sometimes windy along the Oregon coast. Some of the winds may be in that 25 to 30 mile per hour range. Coming up next here at the Weather Channel, we have a look at our Florida forecast. That will include a look at temperatures and radar.
Sun, snow, rain, or fog. Know what to expect. Just 95 cents a minute. Dial 1-900-WEATHER and connect.
Can you figure out the cost of a long-distance call?
We haven't studied that yet.
What do I look like, a mathematician? You don't need to be a math whiz to save with Sprint Cents. It's the simplest long-distance calling plan yet. Just 10 cents a minute, every evening, every night, and all weekend long. Call now for Sprint Cents and you'll get an extra bonus, up to 100 minutes for free.
Okay, but what are you going to pay for a minute of long distance to someone, oh, say, 3,000 miles away?
50 to 60 cents a minute.
80 cents? No, not with Sprint Cents. All your state-to-state calls are just 10 cents a minute for a full 12 hours every weeknight and all weekend long. And Sprint Cents couldn't be simpler. There are no calling circles, no confusing percentages. And remember, if you call now, you'll get up to 100 minutes free. Sprint will even switch you for free.
So let's review. What are you going to pay for long distance?
10 little pennies.
A dime a minute. I'm talking 1 thin dime.
Very good.
Call 1-800-913-9732.
central Canada. From Windsor to Quebec City, it'll be mainly clear, but it'll bring some cloud into southern Nova Scotia. But from central New Brunswick to Newfoundland, it should be a mainly sunny Friday. And the start of the weekend will see fair weather across western Canada, a little bit of cloud in parts of eastern Ontario and southern Quebec, cloudy conditions in Nova Scotia, but sunshine for Newfoundland. And now detailed outlooks.
This summer, Nova Scotia is holding the biggest celebration in all of Canada. It's called Village Fair, but you'll call it good old-fashioned fun. And it's happening in more than 70 towns and villages across the province. Joining the fun is easy with our value vacations that put you in the heart of the action. Call for your free Nova Scotia Value Vacation Kit today and come to the Village Fair.
Parents know and the children and the teachers know. And for at least the next 48 to 72 hours, these kids should not be playing in those areas.
Although studies documenting the long-term effects of lawn spraying are ongoing, you should learn to recognize some of the immediate signs your child may have been exposed to lawn chemicals.
Some of the symptoms could include skin irritation, eye irritation, and not infrequently some coughs and sort of a dry, scratchy throat.
This Weather and Your Health special feature has been brought to you by Carry UV. Locks in moisture, blocks out UV rays. Look for Weather and Your Health daily on the Weather Network, a special feature on the effects weather and the environment have on your health. Brought to you in part by Carry UV.